Pickle! Hit the air. It's time for Monday Morning Fallout. Monday Morning Fallout. Of course, when we overreact to the football weekend, and it was a playoff football weekend, so there's plenty to overreact to. Now, off the top, I'm not talking about Jimbo Fisher in this segment. We're going to have a whole segment devoted to it. I don't want to give him give that story one part of a multi-pronged segment. We got a whole segment later in the show. So if you're waiting for Jimbo Fisher, you have to wait till the back half of the show. Okay? My opening thought. The right amount of chaos. 352 UIL Texas high school football playoff games scattered across the state. 352. And the first round sometimes can be a bit snoozy. It can be a little wake me up when September ends, right? Mm-hmm. And to be clear, we had our fair amount of blowouts, right?
Yeah.
We had a fair amount of blowouts. We had, teams that went out there, took care of their business, got up and went out. What's interesting is that on Thursday, I thought we had a ton of near misses. Mm-hmm. Like a ton of teams that you look up and you go, huh. For example, I believe Anna was in a real dogfight with Wilmer Hutchins for a long time. I believe North Shore went to halftime with Deer Park at 14-7.
Yep. Before
they pulled away. Right. There were a couple of others like contenders, like statewide contenders.
Allen and Louisville were super close the entire time.
Yeah. We had a lot of near misses. We also had what I would deem to be the right amount of chaos. You had a fair number of upsets, if you would. Some of them upsets, some of them not. Little River Academy over Hitchcock is probably the biggest one. Mm-hmm. That is a legit state championship contender going down in the first round. For Hitchcock, unfortunately for them, first of all, I think you give a ton of credit to Little River Academy. I told you on the picks.
Yeah.
I told you on the picks. I said Little River Academy is a dangerous team. Now, I picked Hitchcock. I'm not here to tell you that was right.
Right.
What I'm here to tell you is that I tried to warn you that Little River Academy is not some pushover. And they came to play, and for Hitchcock, some of the issues that had cropped up throughout the course of the year, line play, defense that had a tendency to give up big plays, and special teams issues came home to roost. You had that. You did lose another team that was a widespread pick to win the region in Austin Vandergrift. Mm-hmm. You lost a defending state finalist in the first round of the playoffs. Now, they lost to Lake Travis. I don't know if I would categorize that necessarily as an upset. I think Vandergrift was the favorite, but I think it would be too far to call it an upset. Right? Mm-hmm. But you had other games across the state of Texas that really shook things up. Now, in the six-man ranks, you had a decent number of them. Bront beat Rising Star. That's a stunner. That's a stunner. Chester, this was a Saturday game. Chester beat Medina. That's a stunner. Amarillo Tascosa wakes up and beats El Paso del Valle. Perryton beats Fort Stockton. That was a 9-1 Fort Stockton team. We're going to talk about their Perryton quarterback here in a moment. And then you also had
Cedar Hill and Weiss.
We'll get to that.
Holy cow.
We'll get to that.
I thought the app was wrong.
You also had, in the span of 30 minutes, 3 of the 5 highest scoring games in the state all year in the 11-man ranks go final, and 3 of the top 4 highest scoring playoff games ever.
All time.
Wolfforth Friendship 87, El Paso Eastwood 58. That's the 5th highest scoring game this season. Panhandle 93, Tahoka 54. That's the 4th highest scoring game this season.
We talked to Matt Stepp at halftime of that one, and we were like, "Oh my!" Nick even asked him. He goes, "Hey, what's the highest scoring playoff game of all time?
Yeah.
Like, do you think you can beat it?" He got darn close, and then a game went even further than that.
Hooks 92, Edgewood 57. That's the 3rd highest scoring game this season. That's the 2nd highest scoring playoff game in Texas high school football history. UIL 11, man. It was, like I said, Friday night, you got what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I think no matter what, you got what you wanted. If you wanted chalk, you got some chalk. If you want some chaos, you got some chaos.
You even had games like Pearland and Dickinson going in 5 overtimes.
I toyed with that to be our game of the week.
Live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live.
But another game that was our live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live was our game of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Klein Kane 50, Bridgeland 49.
We were monitoring both of these at the same time, and it was straight chaos.
So, something that maybe, if you take a at first glance, you may not realize. Bridgeland was up 24-0 midway through the second quarter.
Oh, it looked like church.
This game was over. Mm-hmm. This was one-way traffic. But Kane scores twice before halftime to pull it within 24-14. And then it gets into this firefight back and forth. They end up going to overtime. Bridgeland gets the ball. They score. No problem. Kane gets the ball. They score in overtime. And Coach James Clancy says, you know what? I'm feeling a little saucy. 1 play for your season. They go for 2, and Darius Rogers takes it in for the game winner, 50-49. Cojones. I love it. I'm of the opinion that if you have 1 play to win it, you should take that play. Mm-hmm. And they have that play. They dial it up. Especially,
it was executed to perfection, too. It really was.
Well, zone read keeper, he's in. Incredible. No, I'm sorry. It was, That what was zone read keeper? I don't know. Zone read. I don't know if the quarterback or the running back got it. I know it was.
Oh, I can't remember.
I know it was Darius Rogers who scored. So, what a win for Klein Kane. I had a guy text me before that game. They said, "What do you think, Klein Kane and Bridgeland?" I said, "I like Bridgeland, but it's really close." Mm-hmm. So I was half right. Game of the week. Am I overreacting? Is Texas in trouble without Jonathon Brooks?
Absolutely. Trouble's a steep word. Mm-hmm. They definitely are in trouble when it comes to being multiple at that point.
They like C.J. Baxter a lot, and they're gonna ride him. You're gonna probably see more Jadon Blue.
Is Quinn Ewers gonna be back next week?
That's the question, right? You know,
because if they're without Quinn and Jonathon Brooks,
he played this week. He played okay.
Yeah.
Will he be healthier? They'll need more from John. They'll need a fully healthy Quinn Ewers. Mm-hmm. They'll need a fully healthy Quinn Ewers. And they're better than Iowa State. To be clear, they're better than Iowa State. They're better than Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. But then you get to a Big 12 title game. Jonathon Brooks was decidedly their very best offensive weapon.
Yes.
Most consistent, at least. They will need to find a way to do without the 2020 Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year. It's time for Dude Rock Dude of the Week. Hashtag Dudes Rock. It's for the dude who rocked the most. And it's a landscape of dudes. We look across the Dudiverse. To find the dude who rocked the most. And give him our hashtag Dudes Rock Dude of the Week.
I cannot believe you just said Dudiverse.
Pickle, let's go back to Perryton. Perryton quarterback Cooper Schilling goes 31 of 40 for 462 yards and 7 touchdowns passing in their big upset win over Fort Stockton. Cooper Schilling, check your rosters, folks, a freshman going for 462 and 7 in a playoff game. Perryton quarterback Cooper Schilling, our hashtag Dudes Rock Dude of the Week. Now it's time for Tepper's Play of the Week. A lot of good options here. A number of them on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, but this one's going to come to us from the Permian Basin. Midland Legacy had a big win. Everything was working for them. So much so that even their wide receiver, Breck Stevens, decided to show off in our Play of the Week. That's pretty good. Breck Stevens, Midland Legacy wide receiver.
That's a grown man catch.
Little triple tip drill touchdown catch as Midland Legacy romps into the area round. That's our Play of the Week. Quick break for a hot take. We're headed for an all-Texas AAC title game. Okay? Now, there's still work to do. I understand people are going to say, but Tepper. What are you talking about, dude? I'm here to tell you that I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to get UTSA and SMU in the AAC title game. Now, there's one game that is going to really stand in the way, like pretty clearly, and that is UTSA finishes the year at Tulane. I think the way UTSA is playing right now, I think they can go on the road and beat Tulane. And now it's set up, more than likely, assuming UTSA also beats USF this week, and SMU goes on the road to Memphis, not easy, on the road to Memphis and gets a win before they take on a Navy team that's meh. I think we're going to get an all-AAC title game between UTSA and SMU, and that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
So, there's your hot take. Time for the Huh of the Week.
Perplexed.
Cedar Hill 66, Pflugerville Weiss 0.
We literally thought that the app was wrong. We're sitting there trying to update scores throughout the night, and we're like,
and that does
someone's
happen, by the
messing
way.
with
Sometimes,
this.
sometimes
it's user generated.
Yeah.
I mean,
sometimes
it's not 100%.
somebody puts in the wrong score. Sometimes we got jokesters, which we will find you. Sometimes we got jokesters. I thought so too. Like that popped across my screen, and I go, "Oh, that's backwards."
Yeah. Yes.
That was my first thought. Oh, that's backwards.
And it was like, okay, someone go to Twitter and let's get to verifying this.
But now, so first of all, give a lot of credit, I think, to Nick Ward and Cedar Hill, who have very clearly figured things out after a very, very slow start, right? This is a Cedar Hill program that started off, what were they, 0-5? No, 1-4.
Mm-hmm.
1-4. But then, kind of woke up. And things have been trending in a positive direction. They've now won 5 of their last 6. But for Weiss, remember, this was a team that was flirting with the top 10.
Yeah.
Just a couple of weeks ago, they come out of the open date. They're undefeated. They're 8-0 going into their open date. Come out of the open date. They kind of get drilled by Midway. Mm-hmm. Now, that was a weird game. It was on the road. They played it late that night because that was the night the weather came through.
Yep, big
and
weather.
I think they were like, oh, we don't want to drive back Saturday. We'll stay here. Midway was surging. Okay, you could maybe give him a mulligan. Now, I mean,
the train just completely fell off
I
the
have
tracks.
no idea what happened.
Just
I have no idea what happened.
completely fell off the tracks.
That is undisputedly your Huh of the Week. Now it's time for the Wild Stat of the Week. Pickle, let me tell you about a happening down in 2A Division 2.
Okay.
Okay? Let me tell you about it happening down in 2A Division 2. You had 2 by-district games going on in 2A Division 2.
Mm-hmm.
You had Fall City taking on Iola.
Mm-hmm.
And you had Lovelady taking on Price Carlisle.
Number 5 lady.
Okay. So let's go to Fall City and Iola. Fall City gets a nice win. Fall City, coached by once and future coach Mark Kiroff, down there at Fall City. Iola, coached by Rex Sharp, who took over in the offseason, took over that job. Veteran coach takes over. Mark Kiroff versus Rex Sharp. At Lovelady, the head coach at Lovelady is Will Kiroff. The head coach at Price Carlisle is Connor Sharp.
That's funny.
So you had 2 families playing one another in 2 different games. Okay? You had father versus father, Mark Kiroff versus Rex Sharp. and you had son versus son, Will Kiroff versus Connor Sharp.
It's really cool that it worked out father, son, son, rather than having like son and father like cross check each other.
Son.
Yeah, like that's really cool.
For what it's worth, the Kiroffs won both games, so I do not think the Sharp family will be sending them a Christmas card.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, there's your wild stat of the week. It's now time for our most treasured segment.
Correct.
The Matt Step. He got that dog in him. Player of the week.
And now, the Matt Step. He got that dog in him. Player of the week.
What's up, y'all? Matt Stepp, Dave Campbell's Texas Football here at Del Mar Stadium, watching Bay City and North Forest in the first round of the high school football playoffs, and I got Decaney and Conroe Oak Ridge on my tablet. Shout out Texan Live. But I'm here to bring you the winner of the Bi-District Playoff. Matt Stepp, he got that dog and an award winner, and that is none other than Bay City wide receiver Zylan Williams, who had not one, not two, not three, but 4 touchdown catches tonight in Bay City's win over North Forest. Congratulations, Zylan. You, sir, have got that dog in you.
This has been the Matt Stepp He Got That Dog in Him Player of the Week.
Thank you, Matt Stepp, for that courageous report. And congratulations to the Matt Stepp. He got that dog in him Player of the Week.
I don't know if local man is the perfect description of him or like the worst description of him because he kind of bounces around a lot. But
he's local wherever he is.
I was just going to say he's accepted by all communities.
You have my attention, Lake Travis. So a weird thing happened. I don't know if you paid a ton of attention to this game. I obviously did. I was on the call with Craig Way. One of the questions coming into the game was a quarterback for Lake Travis. Quarterback Caden Leone had been hurt, dealing with an ankle injury that he suffered against Dripping Springs. They turned to Chasten Ditta, the backup quarterback, who, solid. They don't ask him to do everything that they would ask Caden Leone to do, but he stepped in and he performed admirably. So we didn't know coming into the game. Actually, I'll tell you now, Lake Travis coach Hank Carter actually listed Caden Leone as questionable. When we asked him information, he sent us a depth chart, and he said, Caden Leone, questionable. Coaches usually don't do that in the high school ranks.
No.
You have to do that in the NFL and stuff like that. Like, there's rules about that. But they did not list him as they didn't have to say anything. He could have just lied to us. But he was listed as questionable. We come to find out that Chasten Ditta is going to start. But Caden Leone's going to play receiver. Caden Leone catches 12 passes for 175 yards. And a touchdown. The only touchdown that they scored on the night. He was undisputedly a game breaker for them. Going up against a very good Vandegrift defense. And Vandegrift didn't have an answer for him, plain and simple. And the defense stood on its head against a high-octane Vandegrift attack. They're going to be favored every game until they play Westlake in a regional final. And for a team that we had big questions about, suddenly they look like a team you do not want to see.
It almost makes you wonder what took so long.
I don't know.
Like, why did that click, and if it worked to perfection, what took so long to get to that point?
Sometimes, it's genius is the product of necessity, right?
Yeah.
Get excited for Houston, Lamar, and Fort Bend Ridgepoint. It is time to start paying attention to what the Texans are doing. Houston, Lamar is serious business. They're not just like a team that beats up on Houston ISD teams. They get a huge test this week against a very powerful Fort Bend Ridgepoint attack. Keep an eye on this one, Houston, Lamar, and Fort Bend Ridgepoint. Final thought. Let's tweak the first-round home field advantage rules. Okay? So if you don't know, 6A and 5A, the higher-seeded team has the option of having home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs. Okay? The higher-seeded team. It can take it, and almost everyone does, right? If you can host a playoff game, host a playoff game. You should do it. It's great. I think it's too broad. I think that we need to limit that exclusively to district champions, because I think that would give. I think it's twofold. One, I think that it doesn't necessarily give a ton of like. A third place team who plays a fourth place team in the first round of the playoffs in the 6A, right? Just because of the way things break. I don't know if that should necessarily be rewarded. And it does something that I've long been a proponent of, which is to incentivize the district championship. I think we should dial it back. This is my thought. Dial it back and allow only district champions to have home field advantage.
Yeah, that feels right. Because I feel like there's a lot of teams. Obviously, everyone wants the trophy, but that would help. I think so. I do think that.
I think it would help to incentivize. There's already an incentive. We can make that incentive even more and make it so that the district championship really means something.
Not the worst idea.
It's my final thought, and that's Monday Morning Fallout. Hey, thanks for watching this clip here on YouTube. If you like this kind of stuff and you want more of it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And remember, you can watch us live every weekday at noon at TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, or here on YouTube. And if you want more of the best coverage of football in the state of Texas, check out TexasFootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at TexasFootball.com/subscribe.